the whole of human history is full of secrets and mysteries. In fact, even now, in the age of science and technology, our whole world order is causing thousands of questions, many of which cannot be fully answered by scientists. Time Puzzle crew tries to uncover some of those mysteries surrounding the mysterious places of Kazakhstan.
In this episode of the Time Puzzle, the sacred animals of Kazakhstan, where and how we can meet a snow leopard, legends and scientific facts about the most secretive predator, Turanian Tiger, forever gone lord of Kazakh steppes, how to tame a golden eagle, the proudest and the strongest celestial predator. Animals have always occupied a special place in human life. They were given supernatural abilities, people imitated them, tried to coax them with all sorts of offerings. In fairy tales, the fox has always been cunning, the hare is cowardly, and the raven has always been presented as a wise bird. Just take a look at the ancient rock paintings. Thousands of years ago, ancient artists diligently drew a herd of deer, oxen or horses on the cave's walls. Centuries later, animals are still revered by different peoples. The desire to give to some animals supernatural power has not disappeared. Many legends and fairy tales were born, in which the main role is assigned to all creatures, great and small. Many of them have become symbols. They are printed on money, they are embodied in sculptures or on state arms or flags. Watch in this episode real facts and ancient myths about the most secretive predator. According to the legend, if the last ibis dies, the world's evil will break out loose and will kill the humanity. The sinister fate of the Caspian tiger. In the Tsarist Russia, and you can check it in historical sources, they started to put together regular armed troops. They created special extermination teams in order to reduce the population of the tiger. How golden eagles used to save people from famine. During the war, a golden eagle could feed the whole owl. Little known facts about amazing animals that have become symbols of the state. Watch right now. Each nation has its own revered animals which occupy a special place in their life, epic and beliefs. In ancient Egypt, people respected cats. In Russia, the bear was considered the host and the owner. The cult of the snake was common in India, and the ancient Germans, Celts and Greeks treated wolves. Kazakhstan has also its own sacred animals. My name is Andrei Slozhin, and you're watching the Time Puzzle. Hello! The worship of nature has been around for thousands of years. First, ancient people identified thunder, lightning, hurricanes, day and night, with different deities. Later, they elevated some animals to a special rank. Historians and researchers called this phenomena the cult of the animal and divided it into three main forms. Totemism is the belief in the origin of man from this or that beast. Cosmogonic beliefs are when it is believed that the creator of the world is some specific animal. And the third kind is zoolatria. This is when people worship some specific animal or consider it sacred. Nomads always worshipped snow leopard. It was considered a defender of justice. They used to say these words about this graceful animal: he, as the highest judge, looks at what is happening from the divine height. In addition to Kazakhstan, a lot of legends have been written about this snow leopard in other nations. For example, in Tibet, it is believed that the saints after death turn into snow leopards. The inhabitants of Afghanistan and Pakistan believe that the mountain spirits, the patronesses of the shamans, Peri, turned into these big cats and helped people. This analogy is not accidental. The fact is that even the researchers consider this animal one of the most graceful among the felines.
Это очень красивая, изящная кошка, имеет вес.
This is a very beautiful, graceful cat. It weighs about 40 kilograms. Males are slightly larger than females. They have a long, fluffy tail. Snow leopards live exclusively in the mountains, inhabit the upper and middle belts of the mountains. Until recently, it was believed that the snow leopard inhabits only the zone of subalpine and alpine meadows, just above the green belt. And we managed to establish that it's not quite the truth. It is a forest beast. And it can be found in the forest belt. In particular, in our mountains, in the Ili Alatau in winter, it inhabits the territories from a height of 1,500 meters approximately from the range of Sherenko spruce. This cat has a flexible body, relatively short paws and a small head. Also, it has the longest tail among the felines. It serves as a balance during the jump. The length of the tail can be up to 2 meters. The color of the beast is smoky with dark spots. Thanks to such a coloring in Europe, it is called a snow leopard. Until recently, this name did not quite correctly describe the snow leopard, as leopards, tigers and lions are representatives of large cats. The bars also occupies an intermediate step between large cat and small, such as lynx, caracal and reed cat. However, zoologists have changed their status recently. Snow leopard, this is such a feline, it relates, recently was labeled a big cat. There were not so many big cats in Kazakhstan. There are a tiger, a leopard and a snow leopard. And only a snow leopard managed to preserve until our days. The snow leopard is also called ibis. This word is of Turkic origin. It was heard and taken in use by Russian merchants almost 400 years ago. In that period, the traders learned the legend which they were told by the hunters. It described how the daughter of the Scythian king was gathering medicinal herbs in the mountains and met a tall, fair-haired boy with blue eyes. Young people began to walk together every day until the king decided to marry his daughter. But the girl said that she was already intended to someone. Then the king got mad and ordered to kill the young man. His order was executed. The boy's body was thrown at the girl's feet. At night, when everyone fell asleep, the Scythian princess prepared a curative decoction of herbs and applied it to the lifeless body of her lover. The young man came alive, but turned into a big cat with grey fur and a long tail. The girl and the ibis fled from prison to the mountains. Since then, no one had seen them. Snow leopard is a sacred animal in many cultures, so for example the ancient Kakas believed that the creator of all living things ordered the snow leopard to guard the entrance between this world and the world of the spirits. According to the legend, if the last snow leopard dies, all evil powers will break out and ruin the humankind. Despite the huge number of legends and stories about the snow leopard, there is not a single story that talks about this animal as an evil and cunning creature. Snow leopard is an absolutely harmless creature. It never attacks a person. Only a few cases are known when a snow leopard attacked a person. In one case, it was a rabid beast sick with rabies. In another case, it was a very old and hungry adult male who attacked a man, but it wasn't even strong enough to cause any wounds. There are practically no other such attacks on people. Snow leopard is an animal that hasn't been studied properly. This is connected with the fact that this cat leads a secretive way of life. The range of snow leopards in Central and Southern Asia occupies an area of approximately 1,250,000 square kilometers of mountainous areas and extends through Afghanistan, China, India, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Mongolia, Nepal, Pakistan, Russia, Tajikistan and Uzbekistan. To meet snow leopard in the mountains is considered luck. Not every observer can boast of seeing this wonderful animal alive. After all, the scientists themselves admit that you can follow it all your life with the help of photo traps, but never to see the master of the mountains personally. For example, you can walk around up to 10 times, it won't move. Its camouflage is perfect. However, the scientists of the Almaty Reserve Salto Sapabayev was lucky to see it. I began to look into the lens. Through the lens I was able to observe the surroundings, and I kept looking. Then after a while I saw some silhouette of a head on a stone. I began to take a closer look to increase my visual acuity. This was the head of the leopard. The leopard sat at a distance of approximately 300 meters away from us. We started to take photos of it right there. It stared at us for quite a long time, and when we began to approach more closely, it has already understood that it was in our sight, that we were creeping up to him, and it began to leave quietly. As you know, the leopard is an incredibly secretive animal, but the researchers know that the cat regularly bypasses its hunting grounds and marks the territory. On these animal paths, scientists set up so-called photo traps to monitor the life of leopards, and sometimes they manage to meet the owner of the mountains personally. Alexei Grachov also was lucky to get such a surprise. I was lucky enough to see a snow leopard twice. The first time was in 2015. It was spring. It happened quite close to the city, the Kazakhstan Gorge. We checked the photo traps and the snow leopard came out to the path in front of me. The distance between us was 20 to 30 meters. It went out, looked at me, and then it literally faded away. It just disappeared. Of course, I managed to take a couple of shots with my camera. Of course, the most valuable materials are the photos and videos in which we can see a leopard during the hunt. In the wild, it feeds mainly on ungulates, argali, yalix, rodi and wild boar. It can also hunt small animals such as ground squirrel, marmot, pika, keklik and peasant. Leopard does not run after its victim but attacks from ambush. It overtakes its prey with a powerful leap and strangles it. Despite its relatively small size, the leopard is a formidable hunter. It is capable of killing an animal 3 times bigger than itself. Take a look at its teeth, these predatory fangs. If you compare this skull with other cats, we can see that it looks like a domestic cat and a tiger. The only difference is the size. A fairly large skull belonged to a male snow leopard. It is also seen that its fangs are slightly damaged. Apparently it was an old male. Perhaps it fell into traps and, as a result of trying to get out, it slightly damaged its fangs. This skull was found in the 40s of the 20th century in the Jungarian Alatau. It is unknown for sure whether it fell into a trap made for a wolf or was that trap set for itself. It is now snow leopard is labeled as declining species and listed in the red list. There were times when it was considered a pest. For example, at the beginning of the 20th century, more than 1,000 leopards were killed every year. In Soviet times, the cost of one skin did not exceed 3 rubles. People used leopard's fur to make carpets, coats and collars. Beginning in the 19th century until the middle of the 20th century, hunting was allowed all year round. In addition to hunting because of the fur, many snow leopards were caught for zoos. So, for example, only in Kazakhstan in the period from 1936 to 1970, more than 400 individuals were caught. Now the situation has changed dramatically. Hundreds of specialists from different countries work to protect and restore the population of this amazing animal. Slowly but surely, the situation with poaching was taken under control. Nevertheless, the number of leopards in the country is still small.
По оценке экспертов, в Казахстане насчитывают 110-130 снежных барсов.
According to experts, there are 110 to 130 snow leopards in Kazakhstan, so it is really a small number for the whole country. Few people know that nowhere else in the world snow leopards live within the city borders. We made a research. It lasted for 2 to 3 years. In fact, we haven't finished it yet, and we have established that snow leopards live at the distance of 10 to 15 kilometers from the prospect of Al-Farabi. So it is the pride of the country, the pride of the city. And if we preserve this ecosystem in the form in which it now exists, it will be the national brand of Kazakhstan, of Almaty, since it is depicted on the town arms. and it is confirmed by the fact that it lives almost in the city. Such work to protect the snow leopard throughout the world is undoubtedly important, since this species is on the verge of extinction. Kazakhstani experts are doing everything possible to prevent cases of poaching and not to lose forever this proud and graceful animal, a symbol of Almaty. But another predator from the world of cats, Ala, suffered a sad fate. Few know that a few decades ago there were real tigers in Kazakhstan. What is a tiger? It is one of the most colorful and large predators. It is quite exotic, it is popular. Its area covers the Asian part, mainly Central Asia, South India and Indochina, and the Far East. The Turks called it Joly. It is also known as Transcaucasian, Persian, Caspian or Balkash tiger. It received such names thanks to the localities where it lived. Most people know it as a Turanian tiger. Unfortunately, now this species is extinct, but there are many historical evidences about it. The color of the Turanian tiger was bright red. It was quite large, almost like an Amur tiger. Respect by Davletov has been studying this predator for many years. The Turanian tiger is the second largest, or was the second largest animal among tigers. Its size was quite impressive. Individual species reached up to 300–330 kilograms. Well, you know, it was a huge striped cat, a beautiful animal. Within the borders of Kazakhstan, this striped predator lived mainly in the thickets near the Sirdarya River, the deltas of the Ili and the Chu rivers, as well as on the coast of Lake Balkash. For example, a Russian scientist, a military leader and a general of the Russian army and a member of the Geographical Society, Alexander Kaulbas, wrote about the huge number of these dangerous animals at Fort Perovsky, now the city of Kyzyloda, in 1873. There are so many tigers in this locality that the people don't inhabit these territories, there are no owls at all, and in the nearest settlements, sheep, goats, horses, camels and cows often disappear in the night. Such attacks of wild animals and livestock were caused by human interference in its habitat. In Tsarist Russia, there was a special agricultural administration which resettled people here from the central region of Russia, from Ukraine, for the development of landform. They got settled and so on. Naturally, the resettled people, with the support of the government, of local authorities, they received the most fertile, the most significant for agriculture lands. That's when the conflict began. The conflict between a man and a tiger. The conflict between a domestic animal and a tiger. Naturally, the tiger is a large predator, so there can be a confrontation. This behavior is not peculiar to the tiger. It is usually a secretive hunter who prefers to avoid meeting people. Turan tiger used to hunt in impossible thickets near the large rivers. The Turan tiger was hunting for yeliks and saigars. Porcupines often became its prey. Yes, I did not misspeak. There are porcupines on the territory of Kazakhstan. Their habitat range is southern Mangyshlak, Karatau and Ili Alatau. In the hungry years, it did not disdain for small prey, lizards, frogs and turtles. It was fishing in water. But the main object of hunting of the Turanian tiger was boar. They still live in large quantities in reed beds of the Ili Delta. Chokan Valikanov also mentioned about this animal. Meeting with a formidable cat was not a wonder for him. In his notes, he talks about a trip to Issyk-Kul Lake in 1856 and writes about how the tiger bitten this century and adds that such cases are very ordinary. And such incidents began to occur more often. Measures were taken to combat the predator. And in Tsarist Russia, you can check it in some sources, they even created regular troops, created special fighter squads in order to reduce the number of tigers. And even in Soviet times, in the 1920, the Zhaty-Su Executive Committee, former Semi-Rechia region, paid bonuses in order for the tigers to be destroyed. That's how they dealt, that's how they treated their resources, their animal species. According to historical data, it was near the village of Ili in 1891 when a total hunting for a striped predator began. In addition to local residents, the soldiers who were sent to the village participated in the hunt. The first large tiger was killed in winter just 3 kilometers from the village of Ili, but before the animal died, it seriously hurt its hunters. One hunter got with monstrous ragged wounds to the hospital, 2 others broke their hands, 9 hunters lost their bayonet knives. Such hunting with the help of troops and local hunters was conducted throughout the tiger habitat in Kazakhstan. But the predators managed to survive in the lower reaches of the Ili River. The reduction of the tiger population was also affected by the fires that the locals made, burning out the reeds. Between 1928 and 1935, just near the village of Bakanas, 6 tigers were killed. In 1935, the last Turanian tiger was caught in a trap in the tract of Zhalturanga. It is only 80 kilometers from the village of Bakanas, but the information about the finding of its traces appeared until 1947. A year later, no one had seen the traces. Thus, 1948 is considered the year of the disappearance of this animal in Kazakhstan and in the world. According to other sources, the year of disappearance of the Turanian tiger from the face of the earth is still not 1948. Some scientists claim that the last tiger died at the Hamburg Zoo in 1959, others that the Turanian tiger was seen much later than this date. In Tajikistan, in Uzbekistan and in Turkmenistan, the tigers were found until the mid-1970s. And the last Iranian tiger, according to the materials of Leningrad zoologists and Iranian zoologists, the last Iranian tiger was found in the wild in 1977. Nevertheless, now the Turanian tiger is considered extinct. Of course, there is a lot of talks about restoring the population in Kazakhstan through the resettlement of its relative, Amur tiger in Balkhash region. According to genetic indicators, these 2 cats are 85% similar to each other, but before implementing this grandiose plan, it is necessary to thoroughly prepare the habitats of a formidable predator. Restoration of ecosystems. Also, in these restored ecosystems, we need to restore the food resources, the future feed supplies of the tiger. We need to raise them to a level that allows to maintain a self-reproducing tiger population. And of course, the disengagement of these ecosystems in part with our population, with the farms and etc. But while these are only plans of zoologists and it is not known whether they are destined to come to life. And now let's remember another creation which has played a special role in the life of Kazakhs from ancient times to the present. A lot of legends and fairy tales are written about it. It was believed that if there is this bird in the house, then the shaitan will never enter that house and there will always be meat on the table in this house. Other birds prefer to avoid meeting this ruler of the heavens. Here in the sky, it's in charge. Here it is, the master, golden eagle, or as we used to call it, Berkut. It is unknown for certain who and when tamed this bird, but according to scientists, this happened on the territory of modern Kazakhstan. The head of the scientific project of the Institute of Zoology, Altai Zhatkanbayev, shares this theory.
По разным, можно сказать, легендарным сведениям, это относится...
According to various, even to legendary information, this refers to the period of the 6th century when Islam came to the territory of modern Kazakhstan. When the representatives of this religion saw that the locals hunt with the eagle, then in general were interested in this. They decided to show this tradition to their supremes in the Arab countries, so they sent several eagles to those overseas lands.
Несколько орлов в те заморские земли. Пока птицы дошли до места.
While the birds have reached the destination, people got their purpose wrong. People thought that the eagle need to be cooked and eaten. This is for the legend says that indeed, hunting with hunting birds, it originated in the territory of modern Kazakhstan and Kyrgyzstan. That neither in Western Europe nor on other continents, much less in Arab countries, there were no such traditions. The golden eagle is the largest of eagles. The length of its body is 80 to 95 centimeters and the wingspan reaches 2.5 meters. The females are much larger than males, but this difference is characteristic of birds of prey. There is one interesting and even romantic feature of this bird. The golden eagles, like most birds of prey, large predators, they form permanent couples. Mating couples are constant for many, many years, if at least one of the partners of this couple does not die a natural death. It is curious why many legends about swan fidelity are composed, but our folklore tells nothing about the devotion to golden eagles. But the Kazakhs have a belief that every nomad should have zhati kazina. In translation, it means 7 riches or treasures. The first is an intelligent wife, the second is a fast horse, the third is the hunting golden eagle, and only then are the faithful dog, gun, trap and cauldron. Thus, the special role of the golden eagle is emphasized. There are good reasons for this. That's what Ashot Anzorov told the Time Puzzle crew, who has been breeding rare birds of prey for more than 20 years.
То, что он появился на флаге страны, это объяснимо.
The fact that it is depicted on the flag of the country, it is quite understandable. The golden eagle is the most powerful bird. It is the proudest bird. This is a bird that is difficult to train. That is, with this bird, you can hunt absolutely everything. That is, I know cases when people hunted roe deer, according to some data even gazelles. I know that this too can be a legend, but during the years of disaster, during the war years, the golden eagle fed the whole villages. With eagles you can get meat. With a golden eagle you can get a skin. That is, it can feed people, dress some of them. It is a bird that, well, not a single bird can feed owl. Golden eagle is a unique bird. Few of the animal world, moreover, birds can boast such a keen eye. But that's not all. A golden eagle, like a human, can distinguish colors. Moreover, it has a binocular vision, that is, the ability to simultaneously clearly see the image of an object with both eyes. Perhaps for such qualities, ancient nomads decided to tame this proud bird. The very process of training and catching golden eagles can be divided into 2 methods. The first is when they catch an adult bird and train it. The second is when one chick is taken from the nest just before beginning to fly. The process of taming a bird can last from a month to 6 months. But there were exceptions in this difficult craft. A legendary hunter with a golden eagle, Davlet Parkov. He managed to catch an eagle from nature, already an adult bird. Catching is done in a special way, but within 16 days he managed to tame it. And after the capture, after 16 days, he managed to go to the first hunt and catch the first prey. It is probably the most such an illustrative example when a person's communication, in this case Pekuchi's communication with a golden eagle, brought such fruits in a very short time. For a long time, the learning process has remained unchanged. To do this, the bird was put into the busiest place in the house. It is done on purpose so that the golden eagle was accustomed to noise and a large number of people ceasing to be afraid of them. Even at night, sometimes, when it sits on a mobile platform, it is not allowed to fall asleep. From time to time, this platform is being shaken. That is, due to the fact that this stimulus, it appears constantly, the bird gradually begins to get used to this effect of stimuli. After the golden eagle has got used to people and began to take food which the host gives him, the process of training begins. First, the bird is called to the hand from a short distance. It gradually increases, and now the hunter releases the bird to freedom. Such an exam. As the Berkutchi themselves say, a well-fed bird will not fade away.
Я думаю, многие принципиальные приемы приручения и проведения охот, они остались неизменны.
I think many of the basic methods of domestication and hunting, they remained unchanged. But I'm watching this trend. Of course, now it is quite a very popular, we can even say populist direction. And people who do not have any initial predispositions for this, they begin to deal with this matter, not considering these canonical things. This bird is listed in the Red Book of Kazakhstan. Over the last centuries, it has disappeared from many regions where it lived before. The reason was the mass extermination of it as allegedly a pest, as well as the use of pesticides and poisons which poisoned rodents, protecting agricultural crops. Golden eagle is not a pest. It cannot be a pest because, let's just say, nature did exactly what should be done. We did not invent the golden eagle yesterday, and it wasn't like we let it out and then it harmed something somewhere. Well, now let's say a golden eagle, I can say for sure that the population has greatly weakened in comparison if we take 10 to 15 years ago. Because I myself am a hunter. I often go to some places near Almaty. And in some places where golden eagles used to live, where they used to nest each year, they cannot be found there anymore. A number of protective measures are being taken in the country to save this bird, which is sacred for the Kazakhs. For example, if prior to 2004 there weren't any accountings of golden eagles which live with people, now we have passportization of hunting birds. That is, all the birds that were in their hands, even if some of them were illegal, well, the state made such a gesture towards breeders of birds of prey. And regardless of the origin of the bird, I mean, independently of where this bird originated, they were all legalized. Since that time, in theory, every bird should be registered. It must have a passport. The movement of birds, the sale, the death of birds must be reported to the authorities, and thus there must be control. No less effective way to increase the number of birds of prey is practiced in Almaty. We annually receive an offspring of almost all species of birds that we keep. We have 15 species. And every year we make releases. Let's say that a golden eagle is produced in 100%, all the offspring are released into wild. There is one more interesting fact: an owl or an eagle owl was also a sacred bird. According to the belief, their feathers scared off evil spirits. Kazakhs decorated brides' headdress, saukele, with them. There is another belief that the owl has protected children from diseases. For this, its feathers were attached to clothing or to the cradle of a child. Arkins tied feathers of an owl to a dombrai. Was believed that they protect from the evil eye. The eagle-owl feathers, like the amulet, were also used by the Kyrgyz, Uzbeks and Turkmens. Another fact is interesting. The Kazakhs had an unspoken law prohibiting hunting animals which were considered holy. These included the eagle-owl, the golden eagle and the snow leopard. In spite of this, historians and researchers note the fact that in each yurt there were skins of snow leopards, talismans from claws of an eagle-owl and golden eagle. In fact, in order not to anger these animals and not to lose their protection, the nomads found a way out of the situation. They bought components for amulets from various traders. Later, already in the years of independence, the snow leopard and the golden eagle became symbols of the country. Bucket took its place of honor on the national flag. Hovering under the sun, it symbolizes the strength of the state, its sovereignty and independence, the desire for high goals and a sustainable future. The snow leopard became the official symbol of the country proposed by President Nursultan Nazarbayev in his message to the people 2030. The snow leopard depicted on the national currency of Kazakhstan. In 1999, the Order of Bosses of 3 degrees was established, and it was also chosen as a symbol of the last Winter Asian Games in 2011 in Kazakhstan. The snow leopard and the golden eagle are not the only animals that were sacred to nomads. Nevertheless, they became sacred for people who lived here in antiquity and for us, their descendants. Strong, just and noble, they are symbols of the country. My name is Andrei Slozhin, and it was The Time Puzzle. See you.